What's going on, Cancer? I salute the divinity in you, and welcome to the Chariot Friends. Justin here, and are you ready? We're getting ready to start a new lunar cycle here, and this one's in Aries. And who doesn't love a good moon in Aries? I find that this is one. It's something about Aries energy. I find just really can motivate, just get you, just that spark. That initial, just that light. The source of fire. That's where it's first initiated in Aries, and so we're going to really get into that here today. But before we jump into it, if you're new here, again, my name is Justin, and know that when you're coming across this video, you're in sync with the moon, and she loves that. But this is also a place for you if you happen to have Cancer in your placements, Sun, Moon, Rising, maybe Mars, wherever. This one's for you. Or if you just want to kick it with Cancer, we all can resonate with the moon, just want to learn about the lunar shenanigans. And speaking of lunar shenanigans, I do tarot card spreads based off that lovely luminary, the good old moon. And I'll talk about what sign she's in, what phase she's in, when she's going void of courses, all that good stuff. And just so you're all aware, this is a general reading, not a one-to-one. So take what fits into your story, discard the rest, and everything will be dope, Cancer. Now, look at that, just two thumbs up all over the place. Let's jump into it. we're ready. But yes, I do hope you're ready for this new lunar cycle here. I know this last one, again, we had a lot of energies here, but hopefully that energy was something motivating to you, that you got something out of it. It wasn't just like you getting pulled to and fro through the ethers here. But before we jump into the moon stuff, depending on when you're watching this, happy Venus Day. Venus is associated with Fridays, and I find that Venus days can be, I would say these are my shaving days, self-care days, just kind of get the self beautified, maybe check in on maybe just like, cut the nails or whatever that's look like. Make sure you do something extra with the when shampooing the hair, really just getting in there. Yeah. So I find that Venus days can be just great for any sort of self-care, but also just for the appreciation of beauty. I think that the power of Venus can sometimes, even though she's a lesser benefic, she can really make this journey just so much pleasurable. Just, I'm looking outside right now, and these flowers are just in bloom. They've created, after coming off from the winter time, it really is such a contrast, all of the colors, and it reminds me of the relationship even with colors, and that's something too, to appreciate the beautiful things around you. But even just like in how they change, go see some art. Go listen to some nice music. But go for a stroll with a friend or something like that. Go on a date. Take yourself out on a date. Just doing any of those sort of like Venusian things that can be really, really beneficial for you. I also find too with Venus days that one thing I personally like to do is just like reflect on, what is my relationship with Venus? What house do I have Venus in? What sign do I have her in? How do I relate when I have Venus transits? Venus is actually coming up on now that she's retrograde, this is going to be her second time creating the sextile with my moon placement. And I've been feeling like my relationship with kind of like spirituality and my future with that, because I have moon in the 11th house. And so I've been thinking about that. How am I taking my beliefs in these new information that I'm getting forward, and how I'm kind of incorporating them and beautifying them incense, and working with just like I'm getting like a case for my yarrow sticks, and just all these sort of like nice things. And so that's why I feel like, appreciating those kind of Venus transits, and that's how do you work with those transits. But even too, if you happen to have this information on hand, like I even like to look at like my Venus return charts whenever Venus is conjunct my natal Venus, and just see what the chart was looking like for that. And, over this span of time, how my relationships are growing and things like that, and my relationship with whatever theme that house happens to be in. So yeah, just some things to think about. But let's get into the lunar shenanigans, because on the 28th of March, the moon is going to enter into Aries at about 1:37 p.m., and that's going to be Pacific time. And we'll talk about the new moon here in the moment. But when we talk about Aries, again, they're ruled by Mars, so there's already this energy behind them, this desire for life. I find with Aries, they're the cardinal fire sign. They're active or yang in nature, and I think that when the moon is here especially, this is a great time to just feel alive, to think about the things that fuel you up. and just doing that today, finding some time to make that happen. Incorporate, if you like singing, take a minute or two and just belt one out. If you like, maybe you like working with like sculpting or something, just starting a project, do a couple sculpting, maybe a couple minutes there, a couple minutes here, whenever you just happen to have a chance. Or maybe like origami, so you're doing some things at your job, and whoop, look at that, well, just a crane just flew by. Whatever this thing is looking like for you, I think that the moon in Aries really just supports that kind of spontaneity that comes with Aries. That thing to just, there's almost something even that you can liken between like Aries and Gemini, where it's like Gemini is more curious, but there's a curiosity too in Aries, and an innovation. Like Aries is a very prolific energy when you think about it, even as it's one of the, Aries is considered the, where the equinox points happens. But whether the equinox is happening in the spring or the fall, there's abundance that comes with Aries. Whether you're gathering things or things are getting ready to just life all over the place. So I think that there's something too even about just like tapping into wherever you happen to have Aries in your chart. Really feel into this energy as we're getting ready to start into this lunar cycle here. Because let's talk about the new moon. That's going to be happening on the 29th of March, and it's going to happen early Pacific time. It's going to happen at 3:58 a.m. And I happen to have a lovely chart for you here. And the new moon is when you see the sun and the moon here all snuggled up. But that's where the conjunction, and the conjunction is considered, or the new moon or conjunction is considered the seeding phase. It's a fusion of energies. And when you think about it, it's the luminaries that the energies are fusing. This is the light of the higher mind, being the sun, and how to nurture that light is the moon. And so the new moon is a great time for being receptive right now. We're not necessarily starting up things, but we're meditating on the themes that again, you want to look to see where you have Aries. This is happening at exactly 9 degrees of Aries. So if you're going to want to look to see where you have that, because that's where a new beginning is going to be starting here. And it's coming too off of that eclipse. The eclipse was like maybe 10 minutes ago, depending on when you're watching. I think the eclipse comes before the new moon. But so there's still that energy that's lingering in this as well here. But if you have any points, especially around the cardinal signs, around like, here, I'll circle them here, around like Cancer. Oh, I guess I could actually circle the sign. Capricorn, then here's Cancer, and Libra. There might be like a call to action here, some tension between Cancer and Capricorn. Libra, maybe some decisions need to be made because it's going to be opposing things. And there may be this could be a great movement for if you happen to have any sort of like Leo placements or Sag placements, if you happen to have something around there, because that's forming trines with that placement. So we would love trines. Absolutely. But yeah, that's the new moon is, again, just for just setting that intention, just getting an idea. So for example, this person here, and this would apply, I work with whole sign, so this would apply roughly, not every Capricorn rising is going to be going through the same thing, but if you happen to have Capricorn rising, perk your ears up, because some themes may be coming around your home space possibly. Maybe you're thinking about, especially right now, you got 3 planets here. Well, the Mercury and the Sun and Moon in the 4th. Mercury is about to cross over. And then you have Venus and Saturn here in your 3rd house. So maybe you're looking at your environment. Maybe you're relating to it differently. Maybe there's some things that are changing and you don't care for it. And you just want something different, want something that makes you feel a bit more lively. Maybe, I was actually just talking with someone the other day, and we were talking about the weather in Washington, and how it kind of like, they were talking about how sporadic it is. But it is gray here a lot of the time, especially during the winter times. And this person was saying like, gosh, I just need more sun. I need more. I need to move to a place, or I need to make time to travel more. And so that might be something that might be coming up here for you if you have if you have a Capricorn rising, or maybe you're just thinking about your foundation in general. Maybe you're wanting to learn something new, to be able to express yourself in a different type of way. You're really feeling, again, inspired, because this is where the sun is exalted in Aries. So the sun is doing great here. This is a great time for tuning into yourself and realizing that you can accomplish whatever it is that you want to set out here. And I think there's something nice too with the Sabian symbol. I like to talk about the Sabian symbol, about the degree that the lunations are happening at, and more specifically for the degree of the moon. And this is happening at phase 10 of Aries. And this Sabian symbol reads, "A teacher gives new symbolic forms to traditional images." And I like that. It's like we're looking at the past, and we're not letting, revising a story where, this thing maybe used to hold me down, but you know what? I'm bigger than that now. I'm ready to break this thing and to go head on. And the keynote for this Sabian symbol is revision of attitude at the beginning of a new cycle of experience. And that's appropriate too. We're literally at the start of a new experience at this new moon cycle here. So there's something auspicious about the timing of this. And I think that this can be a great time to revise your attitude around, especially whatever theme this is coming up for you around your chart, to really just kind of like, how have I approached this before, and what are some new ways of going about this thing, some ways that I can expand on this and grow so that I can really shine my brightest here. Because again, with the sun being in Aries, things are lit. This is where the sun is at its best. After Leo, this is where the sun is celebrated. So, and there's even an argument where there's even some arguments about where a planet may be even better in this exaltation than in its home sign. So, but that's just a matter of opinion. But yeah, I think just some things to think about there, some things to kind of meditate on. And I think that, though, with this new cycle, we want to really make sure to set realistic expectations here. It's good to dream big, or to have that big picture, but keep in mind that you're not going to be able to tackle that all within a night, all maybe even within a lunar cycle. This may be something that will carry over for a long time, especially considering we're going to have Saturn entering into Aries here soon. So you may get some momentum at first, and then Saturn comes through, and it's just like, oh, you might hit a wall. So I think this is a great time to really set some realistic expectation here, but movement nonetheless. But because I say that because let's get over to your general energy of the day. And the hexagram that you have for while the moon is in Aries is hexagram 62, which is small excess. And if you want to look a little bit more into this oracle and the message, to see how the message resonates with you, I definitely invite that. You want to look at got changing line 3 for your oracle for today. So that's the line that you're going to want to look at, that we're about to get into right now. And that line reads, "Guard against excesses beforehand. Indulgence could mean destruction, misfortune." And so that's where I was saying, when we're setting expectations, it's great to have those ideas, but you don't want to get into a place where you can't achieve all of your goals because they are too big, because the vision is too grand. And that's fine. You may not get, the thing with this journey is we're always going to have something more, something bigger, something big, that the source is going to want to express itself to the max, especially here in Aries. But I think that this is being mindful about just pouring your all into it at once, and maybe even burning yourself out initially. This is something where you just want to ease into this thing, like, start like a channel. Let's say, for example, if you want to start a business, start getting some promotion, getting like, okay, let's maybe get some flyers. How am I communicating this thing? How am I getting this? Am I going to do more word of mouth? Do I want to do more internet? Like really kind of tangible sort of steps there. This really gives me sort of like an 8 of Pentacles type of energy, kind of like work, like more sort of like work done behind the scenes. Because I think if you just overshoot, it could just lead to just maybe just some disappointment. But I also think too, if in terms of material things, be mindful about just like maybe, especially if this is happening maybe in your financial access, if this is like a second house thing, an eighth house thing, maybe even like a seventh house or an 11th house sort of transit for you or lunation for you. I'd be mindful about just like how you're like how you're maybe spending your resources, and that's your money, your time, your energy, how other people are spending your resources, and just like just some things to just pay attention to. And And I think that's really just a logical place to really kind of come from with any sort of lunation. That yeah, there's always this big energy that's coming on there, but even that's it might even be something too, being even mindful about getting overly hyped about some things. Actually, I'm gonna switch over here real quick. But even being like overly hyped about some things, you can get like, these real kind of big, oh, the energies are massive. There's all this potential here. There's all this thing going on, and it's like, oh my gosh, yes, yes, yes. But then it's like you get to the next thing, it's just like, okay, now what do I do with that? And that's where it's like when you're in that, yeah, okay, like, okay, this is the vision, and then this is like I want to do, okay, I need to do this, I need to find a course, I need to find a teacher, I need to do this. Like now I have things to do in those small steps. Even what is this? This is like almost like a Six of Wands sort of thing. Like these small steps even kind of lead to some bigger successes there. So that's basically what I want to talk about, and we'll get more kind of a clarified. Open. Let me kind of adjust this over here, and we'll get more of this as we get into the tarot here. I think, but we're going to go ahead and switch over. But last couple things here. These readings that I do, they're not gender specific readings, so apply these energies to people as they make sense for your situation. But when we get into the tarot here, I'm going to be pulling 6 cards, and like I said, since you got a changing mind for 3, I'll get a clarifier for card 3. But I'll go through to get 6 cards, and each of them are going to cover different themes or different just kind of areas that we're looking at there. Just kind of, and we'll go back to the oracle as it makes sense here. But let's go ahead and get into your first card. I love this deck. Let's get into your first card here, which is any sort of like short-term money matters. And this is not financial advice or anything, but we're just kind of seeing what's going on with the resources. Interesting. And that's, that's kind of groovy. Oh, get myself together here. There we go. So you have the 8 of Wands here. And this could be where, again, I would be mindful about any sort of excesses. The 8 of Wands can move really fast. This could be where you get, again, just like impulse buying. You may want to do this thing, you find this thing doing here, the next thing you're not sure how we're getting rent, or maybe a bill might get moved behind or pushed back, or a credit card's getting skipped. So I would just be mindful of just like, again, where we're pouring excess energy into. But I do think that this is a good time for thinking about maybe some ways like investing small for some long-term investments. Maybe you're thinking about doing some sort of stocks or some things along those lines, or looking into things like that. Maybe working with a financial advisor. That could be something where maybe you're hearing that maybe this could be a great time to work with finances and things, and it's like you just want to get in the know-how, get the news and things, hear what get familiar with the lingo possibly here. So that could be another thing that's coming through. But I would be mindful, just because the 8 of Wands is very fast, and it can just this is Mercury in Sagittarius. And I remember someone describing Mercury, just the placement as Mercury in Sagittarius, as like a shooting star, where it's like there's that wonderful sense of inspiration, but it'll go by in the blink of an eye. So I think that it is something being aware of that, and just moving too fast when it comes with things. And even too, like I said, even with like your time, maybe you're the person that's just always quick to say yes or always quick to do this, and it's like, you know what, maybe I'm gonna take a beat. I got other things that maybe I want to do. Maybe you want to be like all these lizards here. They're like having a jam session. So maybe that might be something you want to do. Invest your energy into, and that might be something too. Look at where maybe maybe you've been doing excess before, and how you can repurpose that energy and see how, just as how fast it could go, like let's say if you were to buy, invest on like, well, let's just say like sweets or something like that, some kind of junk food, for example. But if you were to maybe learn a recipe where you can bake a cake or something. I'm not quite sure. We're just throwing out some scenarios here, but just something where you're getting a skill, maybe you're working with like more organic materials. You're actually knowing what your cookies are made out of, just something along those lines. I think just thinking about that as well. But you can take that if that resonates. But let's get into your second card here, which will talk about any sort of medical matters. And this isn't medical advice or anything like that. But let's see. Talk to your energy healers and your doctors. But let's see what's going on as far as that. Oh, look at this. You got the Hermit here. And this to me, maybe this might be a time where you're just kind of thinking, if this lunation's happening in like your first house, the house of self, or like your sixth house, which can deal with like any sort of illnesses and things. This could be where you're maybe just kind of reflecting on how you've been taking care of the body. What are some new ways? Maybe you look into some new exercise routines. I remember where I was like, I used to just like run a lot and maybe like do in between to kind of break it up. I might do like some push-ups, some crunches, things like that, just sort of just kind of base kind of stuff. But after a while, I was just like noticing, I was just like burnt out all the time. And then I changed up I just, discovered Fitness Blender, and then we've been in this like 10-year relationship, and it's been wonderful. But I've been finding different ways of working out with my body, and like now I don't have to do so much to still get results that I like. And that might be something what is going on here, where we might be evaluating something along those lines. And with the Hermit, we're talking about some deep evaluations here. This isn't just like, oh, I'm just like curving a sweet tooth. Like, no, I'm doing this because I want to lower, not have like maybe my blood sugar's really high, or maybe this is something where I need to move more and really kind of move the body, maybe doing some yoga, maybe pay attention. I was just looking how I was slouching over. Pay attention to your posture, maybe doing just some stretches. Maybe if you happen to do like a sedentary job, doing some just like moving, getting the blood moving so that it doesn't pool and things like that. So that's just one thing to consider. I'm even getting here too, just even with like the Eight of Wands, there's could be just like maybe this reflection of just like, like this, you maybe just feeling in touch with one's mortality. This doesn't have to be depressing. It could just be where you're just been, again, looking at where you've been putting your energy. And it's like, this journey can feel short sometimes. So how can I be more present for it? How can I more actively spend my energy here? Maybe I've been just a little excessive. I've been just like kind of blowing the youth away, the life away. But you can still always tap into that youthful energy. It may the body may have to learn how to express it a bit differently as it matures in this journey. But that doesn't mean that you can't do something, that it's too late for something, or that might be something too where he's thinking maybe it's like the time has passed by. So kind of a lot coming through on that one. So it's the Hermit, so it is something where allow yourself that level of introspection, and that time to really meditate on this in a very healthy in a healthy space. You know what I mean? Now let's get to your third card here, which talks about any sort of like legal matters or social affairs. And this is not legal advice or anything. Talk to your lawyers, but let's see what's going on in the social groups. Oh, you got the Queen of Swords here. Queen of Swords don't play around. And you know what? That might be one thing where you're kind of seeing some social things clearly. Maybe you're looking at some groups and it's just like, what do you bring in? Like this. That's what I'm just getting this sense of like maybe even people just sort of like just kind of coming and going. But it's like, it's like we're kind of slowing that down maybe a little bit. That's just something just initially that's coming through there with her. Maybe there's just like we're seeing things matter clearly with this, even this like reflection. Again, maybe we've been hanging with a certain group and it's just, you know what, that's not a part of my legacy. That's not what I want to leave behind, and I maybe need to end some contracts in order to make some peace and again to find maybe a new band. A new band where we're finding some greater energy, we're vibing a lot differently here. The Queen of Swords can be seen as sometimes as a cold figure, I think. But I think that she's discerning. She knows what she wants and she's not about playing games. And I think that maybe there's something here about where maybe you're maybe really concerned about appeasing others, but now we're just being ourselves. And in doing that, that doesn't mean that we're treating others poorly, but we're just not allowing the Queen of Swords like I'm thinking in the Rider White House, she'll have one palm open, but she's got her sword in the other hand. And she's like, whatever you give, I'm gonna match you on that. I bet. But just that also means, when we're coming with shenanigans, you're going to get the sword. So the Queen of Swords is the one. But let's go ahead and get a clarifier for this and see what's going on with that. Why this Queen of Swords being so sassy. Oh, interesting. All right, so you have the Knight of Disc here. And I think that this is looking here at more stable people in your life here. That's one thing that's coming through. If this is a legal affair that's going on here, I'm getting an opportunity for moving things faster, but I think there's this like consulting with the Knight of Disc type, someone who's going to put in the work, who's going to work for you, and not just for you, but work with you in order to get things done. You have these things that you need to communicate, and they can help you, they can help this thing materialize. Maybe you've been looking for some sort of like immigration advice, or maybe you've been looking for some sort of marriage advice or divorce advice or whatever the financial sort of things. Like this is like finding. Because the Queen of Swords is she forms contracts, she builds relationships. And yeah, there's just something here with this. This is like finding more people who are grounded, maybe because the Knight of Pentacles, he's anything if not. He's not one about excess. He's gonna his resources. He's a part of his resources. That horse is basically fused with the ground, and behind him is just amber waves of grain, and. Yeah, I think that there's just You're seeking some sort of like wise counsel. I'm getting with the Knight of Disc here. Especially if you're not sure about some sort of you're needing some sort of clarity here. Let me drink out this aquarium real quick. I got this massive water bottle. Okay. And let's go ahead and get to your next energy here, which talks about any sort of like romantic matters and marriage, things along those lines. Let's see what's going on in the relationships. So you have the Seven of Coins here. And maybe things have been moving a little slow. One, I'm getting slow in the sense of maybe you've had to be patient with someone. Maybe this Eight of Wands is wanting something. You've invested this time or invested this energy. You gave some advice, and now, or put it in your situation, maybe you received some advice, but it's like you want things to be moving along quicker, but this person is maybe taking a bit longer to reflect than you had maybe anticipated here. And I think it's just allowing someone that space, being that grounded force for them, but just finding things for maybe you to do in the meantime. Do some while they're focusing on themselves. You know what? I'm gonna let you do that, and I'm gonna do me. And maybe even letting them come to you there. That's just something that's coming through. But if things are, I'm getting if things have been moving slow in the relationship sphere as well, I think that there's maybe even a need to slow down. maybe this Eight of Wands had been really quick about just like going on the dates, doing all the things, loving the satisfaction, the dopamine hits of the messages and the meetings, or that might even be it. Maybe we're just like doing just like a lot of the dopamine hits, but not any of the actual investing. That might be something that's going on here. Where we're like, maybe you've been feeling a bit like a hermit, and been feeling a bit alone, or just like the sense of loneliness here. And now there's this kind of just like taking stock of like, oh, maybe I need to invest in this a little bit more. Maybe I need to put myself out there. Maybe even this Knight of Discs with the Queen of Swords, it's like, maybe I can put myself out there, but do it slowly on the other end. Maybe there's this feeling of being rushed, maybe with all the energies and things, but I don't think that, like, I think this is something like always take it at your pace. But I do think if you've been in this state of inertia, I think that this is a time to think about like, okay, how long is long enough? I think that warrants just like a good check-in, like, how am I feeling about this? Am I ready to do some sort of movements? Again, you don't have to take massive steps with that. We're guarding against excess. But I do think that just something can happen there. Now let's get to the fifth card here, which talks about any sort of like immediately pressing affairs and things about that. And we're talking about what's happening in the now. Well, I mean, all this could be happening in the now. Oh, look at that. Jupiter. You got the Wheel of Fortune here. Things may be turning right now. A cycle may be kind of playing out here. And I mean, we're getting ready to start a whole new cycle. But again, this is a time to think big, but I think think big in through small actions. I think that there's something here about, it's not like, even like when you think about like a car, like you want to give it a second to warm up. Just get in and just like, I mean, sometimes you do. You just get in and just get driving. But sometimes it's like with the body, like you want to give it a second. You want to warm it up first, because then you can get the most out of a situation here. That's what this feels like. It's like we're warming up to something. It's not like we're not going to be able to do big things later. This is just while the moon is in Aries. Keep the excitement, the will. Feel that and not just like a feeling, like an emotional feeling, like an energized feeling, like yeah, this is the thing. I'm gonna do this thing tomorrow, and I'm about to set up this thing, and look at how this thing is growing. I've been doing these rituals. I think I've mentioned here, because I got my ninth house is very active. I have a lot of ninth house activity going on, and I've been just doing these little rituals, and it's just like, it's every day. It's just small little things, and I feel like it's fun to feel like a beginner, to always feel like you're always the teacher, but there are always opportunities to be the student here too. So I think there's something about appreciating hey, I know that just thumbs down, but that's not ignore that. Maybe you may not be feeling that right now, but I think that things will be eventually turning in your favor as well. But I do also think that there's a patient aspect with the Seven of Coins being here, the Knight of Discs being here, or even the Hermit kind of being here. I think it's like a reflecting on where you want this thing to move, because I feel like you have a way of moving this thing along, to having, again, these small influences have a bigger effect. It's just like, maybe we're not like see it in the immediate, but we're gonna see it in the long term here with the Wheel of Fortune. But it's having that faith. It's thinking about that Jupiter aspect. But let's get to the last card here, which talks about the destiny or the karma that's to come, and that's just like, the consequences of the actions, neither negative nor positive. Yeah, we're just working with it. Nice. So you have the Four of Coins here. And so, I would say with this, again, be mindful about what you're shelling out, because the Four of Coins is definitely one of my bank cards. That's the safe, that's the vault. And I think that there's Definitely, if this is like a financial thing, I would be mindful about just going ham. Just have a. We're not make sure to keep that. Make sure that the money's flowing, just as much as go is coming in as it's going out. It's not necessarily, I think, even about a saving or like a hoarding money, because money don't do any good just sitting. But I do think that it is making sure that the flow is matching. That what's coming in is what's going out, and that the money is staying in it, or then just the resources, the money, the time, the energy is being shelled out in an appropriate way for you and in all parties there. So I think that's just one thing to pay attention to. I am getting a it's a frugality that's coming through, but in a way that, again, that's not constructive. It's just like more so like there's a point where you can have all of the things, and it's nice to have all the things, but if they're just sitting, they're not doing anything, then they're just it's just dead weight. It's just, I think that there's something there too about maybe needing to, yeah, I mean, and then this is appropriate with Aries energy, that you get the whole thing spring cleaning. Maybe there's a fall cleaning on the other side of the other hemisphere, but it's an equinox point. It's fresh energies coming in. So, or I mean, we're fresh into that Aries energy, so this could be a great time too to just kind of clean out the safe, clean out the home space, empty out the energies, just seeing where things maybe just need to just some air. That's just another thing that's kind of coming through there. Yeah, I think that's all I got for that one. All right, but let's get a little advice from Mars. Oops. Nice. How appropriate for Mars. So you got the Knight of Wands here. And let's go ahead and switch over. And the Knight of Wands is one that's excited, is ready for a challenge, but will run into some difficulties too. I think that this, with the Knight of Wands, this is a where he's got a lot of energy. I think that this is one where, again, we don't want to just like go full out. We want a sustained fire. And I actually think the Knight of Wands is appropriate. This is, for me, this is embodies quite a bit of the rules of first couple decades of Leo. So there's a lot of sustained fire in this card here. And I think that this is one where we don't want the fire to be overwhelming. We want a nice kind of a controlled, focused, tempered type of flame. One where we're not smothering it, but we're not over fueling it and just burning things. So this is just like right now, this is the over these next couple days in Aries, this is just like the prelude. We'll start really getting I think some tangible things once we get into once the moon moves into Taurus. Then she's in her exalted place, and then we'll have, and that's going to be a time where we have like a lot of exalted planets. Venus will be in Pisces, Sun will be in Aries, and the moon will be in Taurus. So we'll have a lot of, especially like personal planet support. I think that'll be a very nice one. So I just think like right now, let the inspiration fuel you, and find little ways to keep that fire going, to keep you enough, and that's where the challenge is going to be. But the Knight of Wands is always open for a challenge, always up for it. And keep in mind, the Knight of Disc with this card, that's the King of Disc in like the Rider Waite. I'm using the Thoth deck to clarify, just to let you know about that one. But I think that's all I got for you there. A little something to think about. But if you like that, if anything resonated with you, give it a thumbs up. And share this if you know somebody who would get some nuggets of wisdom from this. And then subscribe there, Queen of Swords. Hit that bell button to get notified when I release videos each day. And then I'm going to shuffle for a surprise card or cards here. But if you want to work with the other celestial bodies, maybe you want to work with Big Papa, Jupiter, or maybe Mars, or whatever that's looking like for you, down in the description box is a link for my other channel, Alchemist 8. And I release videos weekly there, every Mercury day. That's a Wednesday. And yeah, just talk about the transits, what houses or what signs are traveling through, so you know what house or houses to check in your chart. And also, I do some videos. I have this like playlist that I'm doing. This little series that I'm doing, doing different planets in different signs in different houses. So that's been really fun for me, and it's been getting some activity there. So definitely comment on that, and I think I'm gonna do some kind of like live series with that at some point in time. But that idea is still forming. But definitely check that out. But let's go ahead and get into your surprise card here. I love it. I love that for Aries. You got the Awake card here. And this is a time, like, if I'm remembering correctly, I think this is I don't know if that's lavender, but for the sake of this is a purple flower. We're going to call it lavender for right now. Maybe it's like a violet. But I think this is a time to wake up, to be awake, but you don't just jump out of bed when we first wake up. It's a process, and that's what I think we're in right now. We're in that waking up process. We just come out of the dream. The mind is starting to churn a little bit. The energies are moving. The body, we're stretching. We're thinking. Okay, we're reflecting on what we learned yesterday because, we got this owl here, and we're getting ready to unlock something, a new chapter here. I love this imagery. New wisdom is getting ready to come with this owl, and you hold the key to this thing, And I think that this is a time. Drink some tea, have some tea for yourself. Kind of meditate on this thing. You can get yourself pumped, but in a calm sort of way, like excited. But not in like in a overzealous way, or maybe even borderline fervent, kind of way, delusional way in a sense, because that sense of disenchantment can be disheartening. So, but something's awake, something is online, and so pay attention to that. And invest in that. That 4 coins there, that might be something too, where you may think about investing in something different, something that may change the game up for you. So be thinking about this lunar cycle. That's some exciting times there. But I think that's all I got for you. So until next time, stay mindful out there. Keep eyes on that moon, when she's visible. And I will catch you on the next one, Sunday.